Hey everyone, Mark here. I'm just gonna check that this is in fact going live, and thanks to the magic of technology, I'll be able to see. Yes, it looks like I am live. Perfect. I hope everyone's doing well this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Oh, it's a couple of minutes early, so it says 9:58 here. So I'll just wait another minute or so before I start diving into the information for this session, which is about meditation and how to incorporate it into your classes, and then also how to create your own meditation practices for your classes. So yeah, it's a really interesting thing to talk about because for many of us who are new teachers teaching yoga, for I would say the majority, not everybody, but the majority, meditation is sort of new. If you hear dogs barking, there's just multiple dogs here, so just wandering around and enjoying themselves. So when I did my first yoga teacher training, way back, I'd never meditated before, and I had no idea really what meditation was. We had a teacher come to the training to teach us about meditation, and to be fair, it was sort of one of the most, I'm not going to say boring, but it was not that interesting to people who were really sort of mostly focused on movement and asana and flowing and hatha and things like this. The philosophy part was really awesome in the training and I loved it, but the meditation part just didn't resonate with me there and then. But it was really after the training, after my first yoga teacher training, that I started to meditate more and more, and I understood the value and the impact that this practice can have, had on my life and can have on the lives of others. So I had no idea how to teach meditation. I really didn't put it into my classes to begin with because I wasn't super sure what it was. How is it different from Shavasana? And it's only over time, after developing a really pretty consistently steady meditation practice and a nice daily practice, that I've begun to get more and more comfortable to dive deeper and to sort of be able to offer different things to my students in terms of meditation. So all this to say that if the meditation part of teaching yoga seems a little overwhelming, you're not alone. I would say that for many of us, this is the case. And there, outside of this, is a lot of this I'm talking outside of the practicum requirements. So the practicum requirements are the practicum requirements. You need to teach a meditation practice. Outside of that, when you get out there in the teaching world, you might be in spaces that don't want you to teach meditation practices, that don't want you to call them meditation practices, etc. So, that's really up to you as you develop your skills as a teacher and as you sort of cultivate the types of practices you like to teach. But I would say there's meditation is a really amazing thing that we can offer our students, and it's one of these amazing things that they might not know about. They might not have access to, they might be frightened of, they might be dissuaded by attempts in the past, they might have in their minds this idea of what meditation is supposed to be. And as yoga teachers in a yoga class, we're offering these practices when possible as sort of an introduction to, or a tiny little snippet and a moment of, to sort of, I guess in a way, whet the students' appetites, as it were, to sort of show them that these, you'll also notice there's drilling, which is a practice into itself to remain calm whilst the drilling noises begin. Have you ever noticed that these things only happen, like the noises and the disturbances seem to just happen when you're doing something, when you don't want that thing to happen? Just funny the way that works out sometimes. So So the first few things, so tips for teaching, I'm reading my notes. That's maybe why you're seeing me look down so much. I'm not being rude. Tips for teaching meditations in your classes. So say you're out there in the world, you're teaching, it's lovely, and you would like to at least bring some meditation into your classes. I wonder how long this might go on for, and if maybe moving location could be useful. We'll see. I'll give it another few minutes. So choose a meditation practice that fits with your theme. So this is really important. We want our classes to feel cohesive, to feel connected through not only the asana that we choose, but also the other practices that we choose to bring in, like mudras or pranayama, meditations, things like this. So what is the intention of your class is the first thing to ask yourself. If your class is about grounding, then you'll select a meditation practice that focuses on this type of energy or this quality. Thank you, Tina. Tina says you're doing very well with the distractions. I appreciate that. So what is the intention? Is the intention of the practice to find joy, to feel energy? If so, selecting a meditation practice that fits with that. Okay, great. Thanks for bearing with. So practice this meditation. Understand the flow of the meditation practice. Figure out how much silence feels good in this practice. Figure out how much guidance is needed in this practice, how much you need to say, the things you need to say. So practice it, practice it. The third thing is find the right place to bring this into your class. So we sometimes get this question quite a bit too through support as people are developing their practicums. It's like, do you want to bring this practice into the beginning of your class? Does it work really well there to sort of set the stage for the rest of the practice? Or do you want to have it at the end of your class, either before Shavasana or after Shavasana? And these are important things to consider because this can make a really big difference. So for example, and it can change, you can have a plan and it can change. But for example, you are teaching a class, you're ready to teach your class, you've got it all planned out, you're going to have your meditation practice at the beginning, but for some reason that day, whether it's something that's happening in the world or just the energy in the outside world, your students are really restless. And you might sort of begin to think about teaching that meditation at the beginning of class and realize that, everyone's kind of moving a little bit, they're maybe not so chill at this moment in time. So you might have to adapt and sort of switch it to the end. So you might end up sort of topping and tailing the practice with the meditation so that you can still incorporate it and offer your students a chance to practice it, but at the end of class when they might be a little calmer, more settled, more open and ready for that. So we've got number one, the intention, figure out which practice fits. Practice the meditation yourself, understand it. You don't have to do it like a million times, but just 1, 2, 3 times so you feel comfortable with it. Find the right place to bring this practice into your class. My dog just grabbed something. I don't know what that is, but there. He's just being very distracted. He needs a meditation. Find the right place to bring it into your class. And then the fourth thing is how much silence is appropriate. And this is another really common question that we get about meditation is, how much should I say or how much should I not say? So I think silence is probably, we don't have enough of it in our lives. And the beauty of meditation is that there is silence. There's a difference between meditation and a guided visualization. So a guided visualization is this sort of constant stream of words and directions that help you to focus and to sort of visualize something. So painting a picture and then continuing to hold that picture. Now meditation is different. There's some guidance, there's a focus, but there's silence to allow you to sort of figure out what that means for you today. So I think that's the big difference between meditation and guided visualization. So when we're teaching a meditation, there's silence built in. My sort of rule of thumb for how much silence would be, and I'll tell you a little bit later on because I have some, like a little bit of a how to create your own meditation practice and sort of the template. But I would say it takes a minute to introduce the meditation and maybe 30 seconds to practice it with your students a few times. So maybe you're going to do a loving kindness mantra. So you tell them about it, what it means, the intention, and then you repeat the mantra with your students a few times. And then I probably would be quiet for a minute. So I'm at 1 minute 30, and then I'm going to have a minute of silence. And then I might come back for 30 seconds just to remind them of the mantra. If your mind drifted away, just come back to the mantra, repeating it, and then say it a few times. And then maybe another minute or so of silence, 2 minutes, and then end the practice. And that's going to be like a 5-minute meditation. So a couple of minutes of speaking scattered throughout, a couple of minutes of silence scattered throughout. And that's just a lovely balance to offer your students. And the same thing is, how much guidance should you give? Again, it depends. Some meditation practices are really complicated and they need a lot of guidance. Some meditation practices are really, really simple. To be fair, it's sort of the simple seeming ones that might need more guidance. Now, what do I mean by that? It's quite straightforward and easy to understand when you're doing a mantra meditation, because you're repeating some words or a phrase or a word over and over again, and that's the point of focus. When the point of focus is a little more subtle, for example, like the breath, students might need multiple ways to find and to settle with that place of focus. So you might find you need a little more guidance for some practices. What do I mean by that in regards to a breath meditation or breath sensations? Is that not everybody feels the breath as strongly in the same place. Not everybody has a same understanding of the breath. So, there's a question here from Paola. Is a body scan a sort of visualization? Yeah, I would say a body scan is a sort of a visualization, like a yoga nidra type thing, or body scan is I wouldn't say it's a meditation practice. Some might consider it is, but at least from the things that I've learned over the years, that would be 100% for me a visualization, which is a great thing to do before a meditation practice in some instances, or before a shavasana. And it's a lovely, relaxing thing to offer your students. So for breath and breath sensations, you might need to direct students to feel, perhaps offer them multiple places to feel the breath. You might notice the breath in the belly, or maybe you feel the breath in the chest, in the throat, or the nostrils, or somewhere else in your body. And you could even bring your hand to feel that place where breath is really strong, or maybe you feel just the whole body breathing, like one whole organism breathing. So, we sometimes have to be really creative and to offer more guidance sometimes and less some other times. And this is what you'll find when you practice the meditation technique a couple of times, is you'll start to understand, like, oh yeah, this needs a little bit more direction, or this is pretty straightforward. This could be a little bit more, have more moments of silence. And then the other thing is for how long, like how long do we want to meditate for? There's lots of theories out there. 20 minutes is a great amount of time for some, in some instances, or the recommended amount. I don't know if there's an official recommended amount from anybody. I love 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's great for me. In a yoga class, I'm probably just going to do a couple of minutes, between 3 and 5 in a public class at a studio, because I don't have tons of time. And I know what my students are here for. And so in a 60-minute Hatha or Vinyasa class, I might be able to add in a few minutes of meditation. And that's a great introduction. And it's very empowering, because for people who are either nervous about meditating or feel that they're not meditators, it's just such an amazing thing to be able to show people that they can meditate, and that it doesn't have to be this this long drawn out sitting on the floor for minutes or hours at a time, that it can be this just beautiful little moments in the day that we can meditate for, and the impact that that has is massive. So for how long is totally up to you, and it's going to change depending on how your students are feeling that day, how you're feeling that day. But I think it is important to make note that something is something. So I've been to classes before I did my teacher training. I guess I had meditated, but I didn't really know that I was meditating. Was it a seated shavasana? Was it just like an arriving moment to get the class settled? So I think it's important to let students know that we're going to do a few minutes of meditation, and then to guide them into it so that they leave not only feeling like, I had this amazing yoga class and we did this like beautiful meditation for a few minutes and I've never meditated before and I didn't think it was possible, but I did it, and I felt, very different after, or I felt quite calm, or I felt excited after. So it's just a wonderful way to encourage people to, which is, I guess, the goal of at least lots of my teaching, is to encourage people to do things and to explore for themselves outside of the class. So I love it when a student comes back to me and it's like, hey, I really like that meditation, so I looked up some other meditations and then I downloaded this app and I've been meditating for a couple of weeks now, and it's a new thing for me, but thank you for showing me that I could do that. And that's happened more times than I can count in my classes. So it is important to let students know what we're doing and for how long. If you are teaching a different type of class or a longer class, you can meditate for longer. Sometimes I teach 75 or 90-minute restorative or yin classes, and then I'll put 10 minutes of meditation in there of some type, or 5 minutes of some type, top and tailing it depending on the group that I have in front of me that day. So those are just some things to think about. I'll go over the points to think about again. So intention: choose the meditation practice that fits with your theme. This is key. This is really important as you craft your class. Practice it. Practice the meditation technique. Be sure that you understand it. Be sure that you feel confident teaching and guiding it. 3, find the right place to add this into your class, beginning and somewhere else that makes sense. There's no set rule again. There's logical places and illogical places. Maybe if we're teaching a vinyasa flow class, we maybe don't want to sit down 30 minutes in and meditate. But beginning and pre-post shavasana, those are 3 great options. How much silence should you have in that? Think about that. How much guidance does this technique require? Think about that. How long should we meditate for? Think about that. And that's really it. And then once you've got those things in place, you can teach it to your students. So yeah, those are just things that I wish that I'd known ahead of time before, after my first teacher training. So hopefully someone out there finds that useful. So the second part of this is creating your own meditation practice. So sometimes there's not a technique that fits. So maybe out of all the meditation practices that you know, one of them doesn't really work with your theme and you're like, what do I do? Well, sometimes we can adapt a practice by modifying it slightly. So what I tend to do, and one example I can give you, is the Calm Smile meditation by Thich Nhat Hanh. And sometimes I just change the words to what I need for the practice. So if I'm teaching a grounding practice and maybe I'm not talking about smiling or happiness in that class, but I'm talking about grounding and relaxing, I just change the words to breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I am relaxed. Or breathing in, I relax my body. Breathing out, I am grounded. Anything like that is so simple. So you can do that. You can modify an existing practice. Or the other one that I sometimes do is so I'm teaching breath and breath sensations in a class that needs, say again, grounding. And there's not really any specific reference in that practice to grounding. I just work that into my introduction. So notice your breath flowing in and out and feel how the breath helps to ground you and settle you. And as you continue to notice your breath and continue to feel the breath flow in, on the exhale breaths, just feel and notice the body relaxing and grounding as you breathe out. Just aware of sensations, where that's happening in your body, and just allowing yourself to be absorbed in your breath as it grounds and settles you. So it's just a little bitty tweak, but it changes slightly and helps it fit with my theme. Okay, but then what if there's nothing? There's no meditation technique out there that you can find that fits with your theme or really resonates with you, which is very important. What do you need? What do you need for a meditation? First of all, we need an anchor. Now the anchor could be your breath, could be sensation in the body, could be a body part, could be a mantra, could be a mudra, could be an image if your eyes are closed. So you need an anchor. And we're going to practice this for a few minutes at the end of this. So let's just say that the anchor is our hands. It's a hand meditation. So we've got the body part, we've got the hands, and the theme or intention is we'll meditate on just the feeling, and the intention is just to feel the hands, to feel the sensations of the hands, to feel the energy of the hands, to feel the movement of energy around the hands. And if I needed to tie it into my class, maybe my yoga class overall was about the bandhas in the hands and using the hands for strength and stability. So I'm starting my class, hypothetical class, with a meditation on the hands. Okay, so we've got our anchor, hands, intention, hands, tying it into my class. And then I'll have an introduction to the practice where I'll talk about why we're doing this, why we're meditating on hands. I'm going to guide my students in. That's going to be you guys. I'm going to have some silence. I'll come back partway through as a reminder, some silence, maybe another reminder, and then I'll guide you out. And that's really it. Another hypothetical, just if we want to list one more, and then we'll do a little practice. Okay, so I need an anchor. So my anchor could be the mantra. Let's do an English mantra. So my mantra will be happy and calm. Okay, so that's my anchor. That's the anchor is the focus that my mind has for the practice, and that helps to stop it wandering. My theme intention, so maybe it's a really upbeat vinyasa class, and I want to find this lovely balance between this feeling of happiness and a feeling of calm, and finding that point between the two. And then I'll have the same as before, an introduction to the practice. I'll guide into the practice with my students. I'll leave them in silence. I'll pop back in as a little reminder. I'll leave them in silence, and then I'll guide them out. So that's sort of the structure that I like to use when I need to create my own meditation practice. Lots of times somebody's already done this before, but I can't find it. So instead of looking around for a meditation on hands, I'll just make my own up because we can do that, because we have an understanding of the practice and the components of the practice, and then we just make it work for us. So to do this meditation on hands, I invite you to sit and to close your eyes and take a couple of breaths. So we're settling before we begin the practice. And just feeling what it's like to breathe. The miracle of breathing in and the miracle of breathing out. And then slowly draw attention to your hands and just take note of how your hands feel. And you might change the way your hands are. You may have your palms down on your thighs, or you might turn your palms up, or maybe you bring one hand in the other into a little bit of a mudra. Just find a place where those hands feel at home, where they feel comfortable, relaxed. And sometimes in meditation practice, our point of focus is our breath, and we're going to take a step away from the breath and just allow the breath to flow in the background as we turn our attention to the sensations in our hands. These amazing hands that do so much, help us navigate our everyday lives and our place of strength and stability for our yoga practice. You might even have a moment of gratitude for these hands. And we'll see what it's like for the next few moments to just feel, just be receptive to the sensations in your hands. And your mind very likely will wander, and it will shift and start thinking and planning and imagining. And when that happens, and if you notice that it's happened, just come back to feeling your hands. Feel your hands. Receiving the sensations in your hands for just a few moments today. You notice your mind is somewhere else, it's moved away, just bring it very gently back to feeling your hands, the sensation in your hands, your fingers, your palms, your wrists, sitting with sensation. And begin to bring some awareness back to your breath. It's the feeling of breath now. And start to move your hands a little bit. So you might start to just move your fingers, maybe move the wrists, circling them or stretching them. And as you start to gently open your eyes, take a look down at your hands. Maybe turning them to look at the palms or the back of your hands a few times, and just thank your hands for supporting you through each day, for all the millions of tasks that they can do. And then bring your hands together in Anjali Mudra. Thank you. So that would be an example of what essentially is a meditation practice that we just created today together. So this is so possible for all of you to be able to do this once you get out there into the teaching world. So once you get out there and you're sharing your passion and your love of yoga, just know that meditation is something really quite simple in some ways that you can offer to your students, and something quite profound at the same time, and that you yourself are very capable of creating meditation practices if you need to, and also for choosing meditation practices that already exist and are accessible as you need to. So as always, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you bearing with me during that move away from the drilling sound. If you have any questions, just pop them in the comments and I'll answer them as they come in. And just thank you everybody for being part of what makes Your Yoga Flow so magical, which is people like yourselves who are curious about yoga and want to share their love and their passion of yoga. And yeah, Tina says, that was difficult as it was unusual. Interesting though. Yeah, it was my first time doing a hand meditation. So yeah, it's a different thing to do. And when you're choosing a body part, it can be, yeah, really interesting depending on the connection that that person happens to have with the hands or the feet or the sit bones or the spine or something like that. But again, it's just a place of focus that gives us an opportunity to not be in the thinking mind. And that's really what lots of these meditation practices do, is by focusing on something else, we get to not focus on the everyday cycle of thinking. So just as a side note, there's a really great meditation practice by Thich Nhat Hanh about smiling through the eyes that is a lovely thing to do when you're walking. It's breathing in, I'm aware of my eyes. Breathing out, I smile through my eyes. And I encourage everybody, if you're curious about that, to try it, because it's just a beautiful way to walk your dog, to walk to work, to walk to the coffee shop. Breathing in, I'm aware of my eyes. Breathing out, I smile through my eyes. So thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Bye.